Oh my God, I'm reminded of
More back to concussion.
Getting paid $113.
Stubborn, not running your family.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If anybody out there wishes to speak tonight in public comment, if you haven't done so, please sign up front, please. And when we start the meeting, if you please have your cell phones turned off or on silent. All right, well, good evening, everybody. It's now 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you to the February the 20th, 2025 Greensboro Town Council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would please join me in saluting the flag.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Shine, would you be kind enough to begin the conversation, please?
Let us pray. Almighty and ever gracious God, we thank you for this evening, O Lord, as we venture out on a cold night. We just pray, Lord, that as we have come together this evening, that we will feel your spirit among us, guiding us and directing us. Be with our town leaders, be with those who are here to share comments and ask questions, and just continue to guide us on the path that you desire for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And for the record, we only have 3 members of the council here tonight, but we do have, that does constitute a quorum. So, I'm going to skip around just a little bit and go to the approval of the minutes from the January 16th meeting. So I would look for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, if not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next we have Ms. Shannon here to speak to us tonight.
Hi again. First of all, I just want to say thank you. This is the 5th year that Endometriosis Awareness Month has been recognized in Greensboro. And just so everyone knows, it will always be Endometriosis Awareness Month in Greensboro. Thanks to Tammy and Mr. David and the commissioners. My name is Shannon Hanawald, and I started Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore 5 years ago because I wanted to make sure that no other young woman or their family or friends go through what I went through when I was growing up. Endometriosis affects all aspects of your life. It's an emotional, mental, and physical disease. And it took everything from me until I decided it was time to fight back. My pain started when I was 15 years old. The doctor said I had ovarian cyst rupturing. They kept doing CAT scans and ultrasounds, and they said that there was nothing wrong with me. So they told my parents for 5 years that I was lying because I wanted to get out of school. It got to the point when I was 17 that I tried to commit suicide because I was tired of people not listening to me, and I started to wonder if it really was in my head. I started Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore because I have a lot of nieces by blood and by love, and I don't want them to ever go through what I and so many other women have been through. This past year has been really hard because endometriosis is an autoimmune disorder, and it comes with a ton of other autoimmune disorders. One of those being Crohn's, which I was diagnosed with this year. I spent every month in the hospital 4 or 5 days for 14 months straight. It took me back to when I was a teenager because a lot of the doctors would walk in the room and I had them tell me that endometriosis wasn't painful or it wasn't an emergency condition. The difference was I wasn't that 16-year-old girl anymore. And I said some things I probably shouldn't have said because they were male doctors, but I told them what it felt like to have endometriosis. And I told them that I could take a knife and stab them in their groin area, and then they could tell me if it was painful or not. But I told them I hope they didn't have any daughters or that their wives never faced anything that wasn't a disease that you could see on the outside. Because if you pass me on the street, you think that I'm perfectly fine because I look like a normal 41-year-old woman, but I'm not. I ended up having 5 surgeries this past summer for the endometriosis and the Crohn's, and it just made me want to fight harder because it made me think of my nieces being in that hospital room and those doctors saying those things to them when I know how that made me feel a long time ago, and I refuse to allow that to happen to anyone else. Endometriosis is a thickening of the lining of the uterus. It causes painful periods, painful intercourse, bowel issues. It causes infertility. A lot of women don't know they have it until they go to try and have children, and the doctors don't listen to them. We had to go through fertility treatments for my youngest son, and we lost a baby before that. And I know that there are many other women that weren't able to have any children at all because of endometriosis. And that is why I do this, because I don't want anyone to have to face that. Because all of the people that I've met in the past 5 years have been absolutely amazing. Tammy being one of those people. And she has been so supportive and open and willing to even share her story now because I made sure to talk about it. I know there are a lot of women who don't want to talk about it, and that's okay. It's a very personal thing, but I feel like it's important for everyone to know what endometriosis is, how it affects you. You miss work, you can't work, you miss outings with your friends. I'm not the mom that I always thought that I would be because I miss so many things. I try and do as much as I can, but it's never what I ever thought it would be. I am going to read the proclamation. It says, whereas 200 million people worldwide have endometriosis, 1 in every 10 women have endometriosis, a disease for which there is no known cure. Endometriosis is a chronic illness increasing at epidemic rates, which causes fatigue, infertility, painful menstrual cycles, heavily bleeding, painful intercourse, lower back pain, intestinal issues, and debilitating pain in women of all ages and races. Endometriosis is a disorder in which the tissue similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside the uterus. It is a hormonal and immune disease. It can be found on the ovaries, fallopian tubes, ligaments supporting the uterus, and other areas of the pelvic cavity, and most recently found on the brain and the lungs. Patients with this illness often must learn to live with widespread pain throughout their bodies, extreme fatigue, infertility, emotional and mental issues, and other autoimmune disorders. Endometriosis is present in children as young as 8 and takes an average of 10 years to receive a diagnosis. The Endometriosis Association, local support group, and the Warriors of the Eastern Shore, and the other groups around our country have joined together to promote endometriosis awareness and support, including improved education, diagnosis, research, and treatment. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of Greensboro do hereby proclaim March as Endometriosis Awareness Month. And my last thing is, on March 7th, I am having my 4th annual Yellow Day. So if anyone wants to wear yellow, you are more than welcome, and just tag the Warriors of the Eastern Shore, or you can just send it to me and I will post it on the Facebook page. My goal this year is to see how many other states we can have join us, and we need to bring awareness to this disease so that nobody does have to go through it with so many of us have. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we take a picture really quick?
Connie, want to get a picture?
You go first, Connie.
Yeah, they just asked if you got a copy or something.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
We have Kim Ernst.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so it's gonna be a little different than I initially anticipated, but I met with Tammy today for about 2 hours to go over some research that I've been doing on the water sewer bills. Initially, with the information that I was provided, it appeared that for 2 quarters, the last 2 quarters, there were $38,000 in errors on the billing. But apparently the reporting from the software doesn't match the billing. Tammy, if you wanna elaborate on the explanation on that.
Well, that's something else that I get to look at. The reporting is supposed to provide data for what was billed. It doesn't affect any of the,
Can you all hear him?
I'm sorry. It does not affect, actual billing. It's, giving you data from what was billed, but as Kim and I were looking today, individual accounts are accurate, but when, looking at the report that was run, the data was not accurate. So, the readings were correct, but for whatever reason, the calculations were not, so now I have to call the company and see why that is the case. But, yeah, we were concerned that there might be an effect on the billing, but it's an after the fact situation.
Okay. So the second part of the research, I can't really get much further with that until I have accurate information. But the second part of my research, based on that same information, I wanted to see what the difference was. We had a conversation prior about the surplus on the people that are way under their base of 12,000 gallons. And the figures that I came up with for 2 quarters was a surplus of $157,000 on the people that are under the base usage. So what I did is I took the base rate for water, which is $92.66, and divided it by 12, which is 12,000 for the 12,000 gallons, and that is $7.72 per 1,000 gallons for water. Did the same thing with the sewer base rate of $155.33 and divided that by 12, and that's $12.94 per 1,000 gallons. And then I just took what everybody's usage was, line by line, and multiplied the number of gallons by the base rate per 1,000 gallons, and that's how I came up with the figure of $157,000 for just 2 quarters, that was made on people that are well under the base.
So the 2 quarter you're talking about, are you talking about the last 2, so from July and on, and then the second quarter? And when you say the people that are under the base, you're saying that they're being overbilled based on their usage?
They're not overbilled, it's just, that's how, they're paying the same amount of a larger family essentially. So one person with maybe 3,000 gallons of usage for a quarter, I figured up the difference of what they would pay if we were billed per 1,000 gallons versus what we pay for the base of 12,000 gallons.
So you're suggesting then, based on your information, that we should consider billing by the usage per 1,000 gallons and not having the 12,000 minimum, is that what you're
Yes,
suggesting?
yes.
Okay.
And, I'm still putting data together after my conversation with Tammy today about the expenditures for the water sewer. And then we also discussed a contingency. I was under the impression there was already a contingency, but now with the ARPA funds gone, there is no contingency. And I discussed with Tammy about what she felt would be a suitable contingency. And she feels like maybe 10% of the revenue would be a good figure to come up with. So taking expenditures and contingency into account, and then going through and figuring out a whole year's worth of the usage for the water, we should be able to come up with a figure that's reasonable per 1,000 gallons of usage instead of the 12,000 gallons. And I feel like that would be more fair for the people that have smaller households. Might not work out so well for the people with larger households, but at least everybody's paying based on usage more so than they are now.
Now, is that gonna give us any kind of slush fund for repairs?
Well, it's the contingency that I'm speaking of.
Right, and I did explain to her that when we had the, meetings for water sewer rates, that was something that was discussed, but nobody was there to advocate on behalf of people that used the lower amount, so it's unfortunate, this, you know, it may have been a conversation that we weren't having at this time.
I think it was part of the conversation that we had. My recollection, although that's a dangerous thing, was that based on the information we were given by Davis, Bowen, and Fidel, that if we charged people by the 1,000 gallons, that the people that were under bills would go up as opposed to coming down, which was one of the reasons why we were reluctant to consider that.
Their bills would go up?
Mhm.
How's that? I don't understand that. How it would go up?
I can't explain it to you because I'm not an accountant or anything, but I know that the firm that we had that ran those numbers for us was Davis, Bowen, and Fidel, our engineering firm. And as I recall,
So, from what I recall, and we can provide the report and take it back out, but from what I recall, there was a 3 different tiers of individuals. One was at a very low use rate, which would obviously be charged less, but then there was your middle tier, which are your larger class of users, would actually be paying more because they're using less than that 12,000 base, but they're using more than people that would, I guess, be charged if it were per 1,000 gallons. And then you have the higher users that are being kind of penalized for using over because you're trying to reduce the usage. But they broke it out into 3 or 4 different charts, so I'm sure you can have a copy of that.
I mean, we'd have to pull it back out and look at it, but, you know, I recall some of that was one of the issues why, at least I wasn't considering, was that the information we were provided, we didn't get a lot of people, it would go up instead of down, even though they're under the 12,000.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to see that.
I don't know how that, you know, relates to your information.
Okay, well, I just wanted to present it, like I said, it's a little bit different now that we've had a conversation, you know, about the data that I was working with, but, I'm confident that Tammy will give me something to work with. So, maybe we'll revisit it down the line.
Well, very well, at least you brought that one thing to our attention, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that, so thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you. All right, department report, town manager.
There's been so many things going on, but it feels like nothing's been accomplished. We've been working on budgets. We went over the general funds budget at the last workshop. The upcoming workshop will be for Public Works. Yesterday, there were several of us that went to the groundbreaking at Kinnaman Meadows. Today was the start of construction. And D.R. Horton ended up purchasing 28 properties to start with. And they plan on building approximately 4 homes per month. And in the meantime, they're gonna keep working on negotiations for purchasing additional single-family property. D.R. Horton did confirm that they will be putting up a white vinyl fence between Kinnaman Meadows and the properties along Bernard.
That's a good
So
thing.
I'm passing that information along to Ms. Donna, and hopefully that will, I know that's not exactly what they wanted, but hopefully that'll help.
Can we identify the properties that back up to that line and send them a letter to let them know?
Yep. Yesterday, or last night, our IT company notified me, I don't know, probably about 8 o'clock last night, that they got an alert on one of our Microsoft 365 accounts, and long story short, it ended up, they got into our Truist accounts, and as quickly as I could go in to change information, they were back in there.
There's nobody coming in. If you want to shut that door, I'm the window. Thanks.
Hold on, that, there you go.
Thanks.
So we were able to get it finished up this morning. They didn't actually get any funds out of the bank. I was finally allowed to get everything changed. The fraud department has been put on alert, and they have noted the account. And Midshore, I didn't print it out, Midshore provided some information. Apparently this is an ongoing issue that is causing a lot of problems. Our particular hacker is out of Singapore, so, yeah. But thankfully, everything was blocked and no money taken out, but it was a little interesting being in the account and seeing people deleting my number as quickly as I could put it back in there, so. I gave you constant yield rate information to review, and hopefully make a decision for the next meeting. The constant yield rate is what council will set for property taxes. For planning and zoning, there was a meeting yesterday, last night, regarding 720 West Sunset. They are requesting to put in solar panels, and the Planning and Zoning Board gave a favorable recommendation for the Board of Appeals. And the Board of Appeals public hearing will be on March 10th at 6 p.m. Community programs, there's a lot that is being done with that. They're working on the basketball program, autism awareness events. They have, or she has several organizations that are already scheduled to attend, and they will be providing interactive activities for children. The website is being constantly reviewed and updated, and looking for any little tweaks that need to be done. So if anybody's in there ever, and if they see anything that doesn't look right, let us know. Amanda can get in there and fix it. A lot of work being done on the car show and music fest. We are working on a partnership with the radio station and sent them a bunch of ideas that hopefully Amanda can square away with them, whether they do promos and contests or a combination of that and being on site during the event. They're supposed to get back with us next week. Trying to secure vendors and food trucks. Surprising that there's a lot of food trucks that are already booked for the end of August. And then she's doing grant research to find funding for various programs. Public Works, they, Maryland's version of OSHA received a complaint apparently. And so MOSHA, whatever they're called, came in and met with Brandon, and thankfully there wasn't anything major, just a lot of nitpicking on, I don't know, warning labels and, yeah, safety sheets.
Material safety data sheet.
Yeah, so Brandon spent a lot of time putting all of that together, and it's unfortunate. I don't know why somebody would have filed a complaint. They do a fantastic job, so he's met all of their requirements and then some, so hopefully that's done.
Was there a basis for the complaint, or
Not that we
they
were told.
didn't tell you?
Did they tell you, I mean, did they say somebody complained, or was it just a normal checkup type of thing that you do?
Complaint.
Well, at least now you're up to standard, so that's a good thing.
Right.
On the
No fines or anything, right?
safety data sheets, some of them haven't been done since the eighties.
We worked on Public Works budget, which will be at the next workshop. They were out doing snow removal, which fantastic job. That was a long night. They made sure, Brandon oversaw the generator being installed back here for the municipal building, so that's all set. And for the police department, there are several fraud cases that are being investigated for Truist, and a very positive outcome for one of the child sexual assault cases. If anybody saw it in the paper, the individual was sentenced to over 30 years, so we are very thankful to the chief for keeping that ball rolling and doing the investigation that needed to be done and pushing where it needed to be. That's it.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for town manager? Town attorney?
I don't have any updates this evening.
Brandon needs to discuss the pump. He needs your
Oh,
approval.
for the East Lift Station?
He needs your approval on it.
Okay. Go ahead, Brandon.
All right, so East Lift Station, EBAR got back to us with the findings of the pump that was tore up. And luckily, we were still under warranty, but it's prorated warranty, covered 25% of it. I sent everybody what it was, but for them to actually repair the pump versus the cost of a brand new one, with them giving us the 25% off, you're better off just getting a brand new one.
Was there a warranty, how long was the warranty with that one?
5 years,
5 years?
yeah.
We've had nothing but problems out of that pump too.
Yeah,
Repairs.
and right now we don't have a spare. Back in, I think it was April is when we ordered the last one, and got it in that, so that way this one could be sent out. So,
There's only
And
$500.
Yeah, $500.
It was, $8,344.95 to repair the old, and to purchase a new one would be $8,882.78. For the record.
Because I can guarantee that one with the repairs on it, they give you probably a 1 year warranty on that one. And then the other was 5 years, so it'd be stupid not to get the 5 year warranty.
And this is just one example, Kim, of why we need money in the water and sewer budget for things that pop up. So you're asking for our approval to allow you to either fix the old one or to purchase the new one, is that what I understand?
Yes.
Make a motion to purchase the new pump.
Okay, making a motion to purchase the new pump for $8,882.78. You're a second.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, now
Now you can skip me.
I'm gonna skip you.
No, I don't have any updates unless you have anything for me.
I don't think so right off the top of my head, but thank you for coming. All right, public comment, everybody has given me the sheet, so. Could you do that, please? The sheets? Yeah, I don't have them. All right, thank you. Chris Mason first.
Maybe you're putting on that time, or what?
I'm trying to make sure it's on.
Now you're starting?
I haven't started yet.
First, I'd like to thank Brandon for doing a fine job on the snow removal. Good job. Heard we got a new cop. Congratulations on the job. I'm sure Lennox made a good pick. With that being said, are we gonna recoup the $144,000 a year from the sheriff? Or are we gonna continue a contract with him for $12,000 a month? That's an interesting thing for me. So, it's been ongoing discussions. The other thing is, for anybody, I don't know if anybody here is new, but the YouTube page is TOGMD. You guys can look that up. There's also a page for more citizens, not really you guys, but it's Truth Social, Town of Greensboro. We've grown to 325 people in 2-3 weeks, so it's been pretty amazing. Kim put that together as well as the YouTube channel, so we're doing good. A lot of momentum, a lot of people interactions in town. It's more local people, which is good, instead of like, talk of the town, which is all, gossip, garbage, whatever, and a bunch of liberals running it, but besides that. So, other than that, that's all I gotta say. I've got time to spare.
All right, thank you. Kim, do you wanna talk?
No, I was on the agenda, so.
That's it. All right, thank you. Old business, anybody have anything under old business?
I just don't have anything off the top of my head.
No?
Where's last month's new business?
New business. So, under the police department, as Mr. Mason said, we have a new police officer, Sergeant Jeff Adams, and so Chief, if you'd be kind enough to stand up and give us a brief introduction on Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, come up front, please. I should call you Sergeant Adams, not Mr. Adams.
Sergeant Adams, yes.
All good.
Turn around here so I don't see you smiling.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Make sure you smile, it's a PR stunt.
We don't hear
What's that?
you here, you
Make sure you
ain't got
smile, it's a
it.
PR stunt.
All right, public. This has been a long time coming. I've been here about 2 years and trying to recruit quality officers. It's been up and down, lots of applicants, but nobody quite fits the bill that we need here in the wonderful town of Greensboro. However, within screening the applicants, I did find Sergeant Jeffrey Adams. He is an 18-year veteran. He was a police officer in Caroline County, so he's very familiar with Caroline County. You know, part of the reason why I chose Sergeant Adams, being in one agency for 18 years says a lot. You know, a lot of people, officers, they like to bounce around, you know. I've had lots of applicants that there are 3, 4 agencies and they're just looking for a place to hide. A very good attraction for me was that, you know, Sergeant Adams has been at one agency for 18 years, which shows a high level of loyalty, which we need in the town of Greensboro. He was a supervisor at his former agency as a sergeant. He has a very interesting story, which I hope that the citizens will get to talk to him while he's on the road. He is a former, he is a canine handler. He has a patrol dog that is just for drugs only, not a bite dog, nothing aggressive. Her name is Canine Mosley. They've been together since 2017. They've had over 345 canine scans. And that's, you know, for like another day, you know, to explain all that. He's handled very serious cases, homicide, murders, and other serious violent cases in his career. You know, I told the citizens that I would not just hire anybody to fill a seat. We've had that, you know, that dark cloud over our head, so this is a change. And it's taken me about 18 months, but we found, you know, Sergeant Adams, who I feel, you know, is the right fit for the agency. And I'm very proud to present to you Sergeant Jeffrey Adams. Does anybody have any questions for me? None?
Does Sergeant Adams want to say anything?
He doesn't really say much about himself.
Thank you for welcoming me, I really do appreciate it.
Chief?
Yes.
What kind of dog does he have?
So he has a, I mean, he can tell you about his dog.
She's a chocolate lab.
Lab?
Yeah, so she's a tripod. She had cancer, she beat cancer, and she's still actively, she's not aggressive, she's a sweetheart. I can let her loose in the room and she'd come up to each one of you.
Yeah.
So, but she's really good at doing that. That is not entirely up to you.
There are discussions with the mayor and council in possibly having her continue her career here. So I provided some more information so that, you know, will happen kind of later on, except that is a topic of discussion, so we may get a 2-for-1.
There'll be a busy dog around here.
You know, we need, as Mr. Mason says, we have a large drug problem right in our back and front yard, so, and lots of other agencies are calling for a police canine north, so it would be very beneficial to have a active drug dog, you know, in our county, because I think the county only has one, and that's a Caroline County deputy. So it would be nice to actually have one in North County to, you know, to provide the service, you know, to citizens and get drugs off the street and bad guys. Yes.
Is your search over?
No.
Are you stopping with Sergeant?
It's never over.
Okay.
Over. So we are slotted currently for 3 officers. I think now that the new development, you know, might be going, we, you know, will then bump up to 4. So I'm still actively seeking for police officers. So it's not over until it's over.
Dave's looking for a job.
He's retired. Any other questions?
You might tell them he only has to do, what, 80 hours of field
Oh,
training?
yes.
before he-
So a new rookie officer would have to do 240 hours with me. Having a certified officer, and actually, I've got to mention, you know, we do all this extensive background and you know, and polygraph and psych eval, and so then you get the blessing by the Maryland Police Training Commission. And actually, at about 2:30, you know, I submitted all this stuff, and it was in review, and he is certified, you know, so now he's with us. So he only has to do 80 hours in the car, you know, with me, because he is, you know, he's already been a police officer. So it's a very short turnaround. After he is, him and I will ride together, then he'll be on his own, so you'll see 2 cars riding around. So 2's better than 1. Mayor Council, I think we're gonna have a official, meet and greet, is that still in the works or is this it?
Whenever you plan it.
So, in the near future, we'll probably have it out at the fire hall. We'll have a meet and greet, so, if anybody wants to ask him any questions or, sit down and pick his brain, we'll be happy to do that. Okay, anything else? Thank you all for your patience in waiting for me to hire somebody, but only the best of the best, and, we have one, so.
Thank you, and welcome aboard, Sergeant White. He's already been sworn in. You don't need my picture, Nick.
I'm gonna block him, there you go.
No, I don't need it.
Just take a picture.
He was sworn in last week. All right, the next item on the agenda is relocation, and that's the potential relocation, what to do with the police department. And while I got you, Chief, somebody asked me earlier, so I ask you now, have you any update for the public about the speed cameras at the school?
So I did submit all of the required permits, designs to the speed camera company. They are going to send it to the SHA, which the headquarters is in Chestertown. That was the last that I got. He did say that after everything was being processed, it should take about 2 to 3 months as a turnaround, so I'm still waiting. I will email my representative from there, and hopefully I will have an answer closer to the time, or just an answer of when they anticipate those be up and running.
We'll just keep on, so.
Absolutely, thank you.
So who wants to take the lead in this? Ms. Tammy?
Ladies first.
Well, there's 2 options that are being proposed. I will let Chief,
You gonna do me like that?
I will let Chief give one. You want me to do one?
Oh, no. You do one first.
Okay, so the one option that we came up with was to have the police department take up from here all the way back. There would be minor work to be done, a couple walls up and a couple walls out, and we already have all their stuff here, security here, IT here. We meaning Brandon and I, did measurements, and he did a nice little sketch, I think that you have copies of. And the way that it was configured, I think it is very doable, and it took into consideration bringing prisoners in. They could use the side door here, lobby area, and plenty of office space. So that is the one that we're proposing.
That's the big one.
That is it.
So this is taking off the food pantry.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
Where's
The
the food pantry?
The food pantry would go down to the Historical Society, and then we would have discussions with them about storing excess upstairs and maybe displaying things here, like in the window and things like that, and then using, since we're only meeting once a month normally, then they could use this for their meetings.
So the town manager, she is proposing us being in this building. Me being the police chief, I am proposing going down to the other building. So the other building is the front side of the Public Works where the Historical Society currently is and was formerly the police department before we moved up here. So my proposal is to relocate to the old police department, which is in town, is in front of the Public Works. So being here, over here, and having this whole building all to ourselves worked very well. When they had four police officers, this whole building suited the police department. As we know, the town, they ran into some issues, and they had to shack up with the police department, but it was only me. So now we're all in one building, which isn't, conducive for a police department. But now that I'm hiring officers and I plan to fully staff the police department with 4 officers, my opinion is down there would be more accommodating for the 4 officers as opposed to what the town manager had proposed, the back end of the food pantry. So I think Brandon did a cost analysis. I don't know if you guys have that of both locations. So currently, if we moved into this part of the building, it is not handicap accessible from the rear end if this was the police department. The Public Works building that is in the front, it does have a handicap ramp that is, handicap accessible. That building is fully open, which I do have a diagram that I've given you guys of what it was before, and I'm going to try to mimic how it worked when it was the former police department. It does have a lot of windows, but this place has windows, and as opposed to bullet-resistant glass, for the exterior, they do have bars on the windows. There's some talk about the evidence room that is here and the IT that is here. All that and internet and cameras have been run to the Public Works building, so IT would just have to add a few in the police department if it was to be moved down there. If we came here, we'd have to kind of demo some walls and rip up the flooring. There it's an open space, so there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 walls that would have to be built, and then we can actually make that space our own.
And to add a kitchen.
So we talked to Public Works, and they do have 3 bay doors. They did say that not right now, but eventually, we could use one of the bay doors as a sally port. What? We talked about the bay doors. You had 3.
So can we ask questions about this?
I think that Mr. Mason, we're really, really early on in this process.
Okay.
And I think that we probably
Workshop.
should have another meeting to discuss it. I'd be interested in hearing what the public has to say.
And the cost.
We are talking about uprooting the Historical Society. And
They were here.
moving a lot of people around. So there needs to be a great deal of thought, and this is our first blush at it, so trying to answer your question now may be.
Fair enough. Thank you.
But if you do have something, burning that you think would be useful in the discussion, email it to us, please, and we'll add that to our pot.
Say it publicly.
What are the cost differences between being here and over there?
It's too early.
Numbers that
these again are very preliminary, and they're not added up. So, quick math is 15,000 to 20, 33, 40, 43 to go down there. 14 to stay here, that's
Well,
rough.
we're broke, so we can't do that.
So, anyway, we're way ahead of ourselves, so this is the very beginning, and I know that the public's gonna wanna have some say on this matter.
Right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I didn't interrupt your thoughts.
I know that this is, early on, but,
Just hold on.
those are my, burn-in comments on, the initial, thought process. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd like to stay and have this whole building, to myself like it was before the town, had moved in. So I don't know if that's an option, but it worked fine before, but now we're talking about, moving, so there's two options on the table. So,
But we would put you back over there and we gotta put them somewhere, so either way, somebody's gotta go somewhere.
right. I mean, yes,
It's a lot.
it is a lot, and we can't make everybody happy, so I understand.
So does it matter that if they were to take over there, this is where we would wanna be?
You'd wanna come over here and then go over there.
They still would want it to be a combined building.
Where's the public gonna, where we gonna have our meeting?
Right here.
She's saying just keep it the same way, but moving the company.
You would be able to live in the back part.
Well, that's not my preference, but I'm saying if that were the case, I still would want it a single builder.
Well, like you said, it's early on, I think we're gonna need to wait for Joe and Pete to be able to
Yeah.
have their opinions and look at this, and then review it, have another meeting. Right. I mean, that's a big difference.
Well, there'd be a difference too, whether or not, like over there, if employees do the work, or if we have to hire contractors, if there's bigger work.
Just depends on what we have, how we have to set it up, even if we kept the police department there and moved back over here, because you're gonna need a different office space than what these straw would show.
Well, throwing darts at the wall, so I'm gonna throw another one while we're at it. If you all move back here, whichever, I still think we ought to consider adding on, back here on this side, to put a meeting room back here. It's easy enough to build a room just for a meeting room, and whoever occupies this and that, we are still all in one building. So give that some thought, and maybe get some money, numbers off on that, adding something big enough, like this big, over here for a meeting room to use for different things, then utilize this and that.
Who owns the vacant building between Town Hall and Tenchies?
Somebody else owns that.
The town doesn't own
We
it?
don't own that thing.
We try to.
All right, so, we're hearing a lot of comments from the citizens that are here tonight, so when we get closer to doing something, we probably should have a public hearing to have some general discussion so that the public, has the opportunity to voice their opinion, when we have something a little bit more concrete to talk about. To start, we can't kick the can down the road forever. You're getting by now, but it's not conducive to a good work environment, so we need to try to think about moving forward and then how we're gonna pay for it. Have anything to add?
No, I mean, maybe some grants, if there's anything out there for anything, I don't know,
Well, if we do sell the building next door, potentially some of those funds could be utilized
Possibly,
as well.
yes.
And I know that, this probably is a shock to the, Historical Society, although that we have had some conversation with them a couple months ago to talk about, what might be. And so at some point, we need to engage with the Historical Society and have some input from them as well.
Are there gonna be any updates to the meeting that got cut off for the hacking situation? about the sale of Town Hall? Is there gonna be any follow-up on?
So there is a public hearing on that on March the 6th at 6 o'clock.
Here?
Yes.
Okay,
I was gonna announce that at the end,
okay.
but it should be already out there. Be posted. All right.
It is, but, keep an eye out on the website and Facebook, cause it might not go.
More good news, okay. All right, so now amongst all this, I have lost my agenda.
Your town council remarks.
Town council.
Good, all right. Town council remarks. Anybody have anything?
Thank you, Public Works, for getting the school parking lot clean so the kids could go back to school. Appreciate you. Also, our Councilman Noon, Commissioner Noon is, going through a rough time. His mom had surgery, and so anybody wants to send prayers and well wishes, it'd be greatly appreciated. That's why he's not here this evening. And other than that, that's it for me.
I was gonna say the same thing, thanks guys, keeping the road clean, all that good stuff, you did a great job, so Kenny too. So, other than that, that's all I got.
Mr. Bruley had to go into work tonight. One of his coworkers called in sick, so he had to cover their shift, so that's why he's not here tonight. I just would remind you about the public hearing, March the 6th at 6 PM, special session to discuss ordinance 25-01, which is the sale of 113 South Main Street. And then we will close that meeting and open a workshop, a budget workshop. Will be immediately following the closing of that meeting, both of which are certainly open to the public. And that's all I have.
A reminder, the basketball program practice starts next week. They still have some slots available, so if you have some kids interested in playing basketball, don't forget to reach out to Brandon or Amanda.
When we have our basketball,
I'll send you guys a calendar invite.
I'm not playing, I'll watch, I'll cheer.
Cheer.
I'll play.
Couldn't walk for 2 weeks.
The kids loved it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming, and it was a good meeting, I think, hopefully productive, and be safe out there, and I'll look for a motion to adjourn. And are we going into a closed session for personnel discussion?
So, I think that, Councilmember Brelia wanted that, so since he's absent and we're missing, Joe, we might as well wait for a following meeting. Unless there's something particular you all wanted to discuss.
Sounds like sound advice. So then I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion to adjourn the town council.
Second?
I will second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you all. Please
There's
bring
some
your
printouts up
microphone
here,
up.
the information that Kim had, I'm sorry I was delayed in getting it, I missed the email, so there is printouts up here if you guys would like to take it.
Nope, it's over to Steve.